Hi everyone. So my top 10 favorite vocalists. Here we go. Number one, I'm going to start. This is the only time I'm going to do the list 100% when it comes to favorite musicians, with my actual number one being at number one. And that's Alice Cooper. Only because that's a given. Absolute given. Everybody knows he's my favorite vocalist. I've seen Alice Cooper more times than anybody else. I own every album. I've been a huge fan since I was a little wee little one. Single digit age numbers. I've told the story before. I'm not going to leave it here. Not enough time. Moving on. Next vocalist. Ozzy. I can't. It's still too fresh. It's still too early. It's been a while, I know, but it's still too fresh. It's still too early. I really can't go into it too much. But honestly, after Alice, the next vocalist that I modeled myself after when I was a lead vocalist for my band back in high school was Ozzy. Black Sabbath songs were always my go-to. I always tried to emulate Ozzy's voice, stuff like that. Can't do it for shit, but I tried. So yeah, God bless Oz. Next up, this is the big technical vocalist on this list for male vocalists. Bruce Dickinson. I'm hit and miss with Iron Maiden. I don't believe every Iron Maiden album is fantastic. I don't believe every song that Bruce Dickinson does is fantastic. I don't believe every Bruce Dickinson album is fantastic. However, Bruce Dickinson has more range in his pinky finger than I have in my entire body, okay? I'm talking singing range. The dude, I wish I had that type of skill and talent, man. And we're talking about after the throat cancer. I'm still saying this, okay? The guy's lost like 10 steps. Even if he lost 10 steps, he's still got 50 more than I have, okay? So, like Bruce Dickinson is just the master of metal vocals as far as I'm concerned. And yes, I love Rob Halford. And yes, I love Ronnie James Dio. I do. I love both of them. But Bruce is where I go to first. He is. Okay. After Bruce, David Bowie. All right. Bowie just has so much range. Bowie's like Alice, where there's so much different range and character throughout the music over time. Bowie always went more to the, I don't want to use softer side, but that's what I'm going to use only because before heavy metal had a definitive kind of term, even proto metal had a definitive kind of term, Alice Cooper was getting lumped into that. So for the heavy side of stuff, Alice has always kind of be like garage rock, punkish, heavy. He did have his new wave phase, which, kind of lined up around, Bowie's kind of new wave-ish phase. But Bowie was never heavy per se. That's the best way I know how to put it. And I always loved Bowie's personification and the way he sang and whatnot. It was a nice juxtaposition growing up from Alice, and something I've mentioned a million times. Both artists my parents could agree on. Then we're on to Lizzie Hale from Hailstorm. Newer vocalist. Not even the first vocalist is going to be on this list. I absolutely love Liz Hale. I think she has got one of the best vocals in music going today. I am so pissed off that Hailstorm isn't bigger than they are. And I think I hope she treats her voice well, because I hope she's able to keep doing this years from now. Like she's able to keep going like someone else that was on this list well into more than 1 or 2 decades from now. Then we're into Steven Tyler. I went back and forth actually about putting Steven Tyler on this list. Now, at this point on the list just kind of breaks down. It's just kind of in no particular order. Realistically, after Bruce Dickinson, it kind of breaks down in no particular order because the very last person on this list is actually my second favorite vocalist. So realistically, after Alice Cooper, the whole list breaks down. Okay, so Steven Tyler's on this because Aerosmith was a huge part of my early childhood. And, you know, I had to learn real early that there are some notes you cannot hit and you should not try and hit. Dream on. Whew. Nope. All right, moving on. This one, two people actually on this one. Bon Scott and Brian Johnson. I can't include one side of AC/DC without the other side because they both brought their own uniqueness to there. And Brian Johnson has probably just as many songs or a bigger catalog, but Brian Johnson has just as many songs that I love as Bon Scott does. If I were to put together two lists, I'm pretty sure I could balance it out 100% even. Bon Scott is the vocalist I emulate the most in the time period I honestly sing the most, but Brian Johnson is the one that I actually grew up with. Like I grew up with the Back in Black album, you know, For Those About to Rock album. When I got into music on my own was when, you know, Razor's Edge was just released and, you know, so stuff like this. So, you know, like I have to love both of them equally. After that, we're on Ann Wilson, which is what I was talking about when I was talking about Liz earlier. I fell in love with Ann Wilson roller skating at the local roller rink. It was to the song that Ann Wilson hates the most. That it was the song of hers I fell in love to. We're not going to get into it here. I didn't take the song, and I didn't understand back then fully what the song was about. I always thought of it more as I really wanted Ann to pick me up on the side of that road in the rain and just, you know, break me for every woman that came afterwards. That's kind of how I wanted that one insane, unbridled night of pure, unadulterated passion. The whole other the baby part, yeah, I didn't catch that as a kid. And when I got it when I was older, I didn't care. The other part was still so hard ingrained into me that I still just, you know, it's a romanticized thing for me for Ann Wilson. Not to mention she's just got like literally the greatest pipes in rock and roll. The only, you know, Liz Hale is the next closest person to her outside of Tina Turner. Okay, so Ann Wilson has the greatest living pipes in rock and roll. I love Ann Wilson. After Ann Wilson is someone else who I recently did a review for. And sorry. I recently did a review for and I said how much I loved her voice. And that would be Jewel. I absolutely love Jewel. I can listen to her voice any day of the week. I absolutely can. I can just put her on any day of the week and listen to her voice. Just throw one of the albums in the morning, let it play, let her wake me up, or put me to bed at night, and I'm all good with it. And this is not, you know, okay, so as much as I talked about the sexual side with Ann Wilson, it's not all about that, and neither with Jewel. It's really the voice. Oh, the voice. Okay, and the reason why I specify this is the very last one, my number 2 vocalist of all time, is my daughter Ashley, who performed at my wedding for me. She was also my best man. She is my favorite vocalist of all time, second favorite vocalist of all time, one of the best singers I have ever heard. She could be on a top 10 list all of her own with the female vocalists, and she would be probably right after Ann Wilson, only because I've been in love with Ann Wilson's voice for so long, and I'm not in love with my daughter's voice. My daughter just has the most amazing voice ever, and I really wish I had an album of her music. One of these days she'll let me record one. Anyways, folks, we're at the 10-minute marker. Peace, love, take care, subscribe.